Hello, JF family. I'm Daria Burke, Chief Marketing Officer at JustFab, and I'm delighted to be here today with our May Leading with Style partner, Michelle Kennedy, founder of the Peanut app. As we look to leverage the JustFab brand platform and this series to uplift women and celebrate the power of community and of culture-changing women, we are honored to partner with Michelle as she has made it her mission to unite women globally during all stages of motherhood. Peanut has made it possible for mothers to build new friendships and find support with their very own virtual community, and there's never been a more important time for such a platform to exist. Michelle has partnered with JustFab to curate a very special shoe collection called the Kindred Collection for the month of May in honor of Mother's Day here in the U.S. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here, virtually, of course, as Michelle is in London and I'm in Los Angeles. We are so excited to welcome you to the JF family and to introduce the world to your story and to this super chic collection.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. We never could have predicted the COVID pandemic, obviously, and I think just how important the ability to connect virtually would become. And yet much of your career has been spent in the virtual community and social media spaces, first with Badoo, and then with Bumble, and now with Peanut. Will you tell us what attracted you to this world even prior to knowing how vital it would become?
Yeah, I think that for me, it's always been about connecting people and human relationships and what happens when you connect people together. I think particularly when it came to motherhood, I was a new mom and felt very much that the platforms and the products that were out there weren't aimed at me. They felt like they were talking to my mom or a different generation. And I'd been working in tech for so long, it just felt like a natural progression to take everything I knew about connecting people and use it more specifically to connect women and mothers in particular, and think about how we can make those solid, strong ties. You know, if you think about how we make strong ties in other areas of our life, it seemed that that was a natural progression for motherhood to have something there. And to have a brand and a tone of voice that really resonated with the period of time that we're in, you know, not speaking to a woman who is mom at some point in the future, but speaking to women now and understanding who they are and where they are and meeting them where they are.
And you've spoken quite publicly about the isolation you felt during your own maternity leave as the reason you founded Peanut. And it's been really wonderful to see so many women feeling comfortable sharing that they feel currently or have felt the same way. And while this is not a new feeling necessarily, it feels like a relatively new conversation. How do you explain the shift that's happened there? And particularly around motherhood, which seems like something that only now women are feeling comfortable talking about the challenges that have come with that.
I think it's such a great point. Ultimately, when we started Peanut, the conversation around motherhood and the challenges around motherhood just really wasn't being aired. You know, people were kind of suffering in silence, so to speak. So we knew that women were suffering from loneliness, isolation. We knew that motherhood isn't perfect. We knew that actually the road and the journey to motherhood isn't perfect, and it's different for every woman. And yet there wasn't this kind of legitimized conversation. So women felt that they weren't allowed to have these feelings. They weren't able to talk about them. And I'm really, really happy that I really feel like we were one of the pioneering brands to say, come on, let's talk about this. Let's legitimize these feelings and let's normalize them so that there is no topic that's taboo, so that we can say, yeah, you know, sometimes it's boring being a mom, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you don't love your children. It just means that, you know, you're a woman and you have a life, and there are other kind of areas of your life that you want to pursue and explore. Sometimes motherhood is the most incredible thing. Sometimes it's crushing. Sometimes the journey to motherhood is difficult and it's not exactly as you planned or you thought it was going to be. So all of these conversations just weren't being had. If you think about women now who are in the public eye, in the public domain, they're using that platform to come forward and talk about their real experience and their real life, whether that's to do with fertility, miscarriage and loss, alternative routes, surrogacy. And so there are so many women now in the public domain who use their platform to talk about it. I think that's where there has also been this huge shift. These things aren't happening behind closed doors anymore. We are trying to push open the doors and say, listen, this is real life and it's okay to feel like this. It doesn't mean that anyone's alone. It doesn't mean that anyone's strange. It's absolutely normal. And so I think that's where we're at. We've really seen that shift from 2017 when we first launched to now, really people adopting conversations that we're having. They want to get behind it, support it. And we just keep finding more of these conversations and pushing boundaries and pushing the taboos. Because if women are talking about these issues on Peanut, it means that they're suffering and encountering them every day. And it's our job almost to kind of amplify those voices.
That's right. And I mean, congratulations, because over 2 million women are participating in those conversations. And I think it's safe to say you've broken the door open and made way for that to happen. And so, huge kudos to you. It's also no secret that mothers and women in general have been especially hard hit by this pandemic. In fact, as of January 2021, more than a third of U.S. mothers with school-age children were unemployed, and women's workforce participation in the U.S. has dropped to about 57%, which is the lowest we've seen since 1988. I find this alarming and frankly unacceptable. What needs to change, and how do you think we can get that done?
Ultimately, the problem here is childcare. We are expecting women to participate in the workforce like they never have before, and we're expecting women, therefore, to participate in the economy in a way that they never have before, right? So we really have these expectations. We're telling women, you can, you will, you must. And yet what we haven't done is thought about the basic fundamental need of how do we get those women to have childcare? Because without childcare, you cannot work. And so, of course, when the pandemic hits, you fall out of the workforce, and we see women talking about it on Peanut every day because they simply cannot manage home life, homeschooling, having everyone at home, whatever it might be, and trying to work. And so unless we have policies in place which support childcare, unless we enhance maternity leave so that we normalise people taking leave from work, we are going to see the workforce continue to hemorrhage brilliant, talented women who can actually be contributing to the economy and contributing to the workforce. So it is really a national problem for the US and globally, actually, if we don't start to build support networks for women, build in childcare support solutions, we will continue to lose that talent.
Absolutely. And I think the private sector has made some progress, right? And we've seen stories over the past few years of companies extending their parental leave options, or creating more opportunities for men to take paternity leave, and to also potentially give way to their partners being able to, to work and to continue to participate in the workforce. But I agree with you. I think it needs to happen at a more macro level. And ultimately, we need to see systemic change, happening deeper in the systems, because I think the private sector can certainly only do so much. And so, as we sort of think about community more broadly at JustFab, we care very much about our VIP community, and we believe that everyone deserves to feel a sense of belonging. And these are also values that are very much at the center of Peanut, which makes this partnership truly so fitting. Will you share why sisterhood and community amongst women is so critical for you?
Amazing things happen when women come together and support each other, and I really believe it because I've seen it firsthand. I see it in the team that I work with, in the partnerships I'm allowed to do, and actually just even in the smaller, finer detail of, women feeling a little bit low and picking each other up and supporting each other. I see these little acts of kindness every day on Peanut when a woman shares something at her most vulnerable moment. Maybe she's feeling low, maybe she's feeling lost, maybe she's just feeling tired or a bit, exhausted by life, and just these small moments of women making each other laugh, supporting each other, doing something huge, doing something small. We see it everywhere. I think it's a really outdated, old-fashioned view that women in kind of large groups don't support each other, or they're not there for each other, because it's not the experience I've ever had, and it's not the experience I've ever seen. And I think that giving people the reason to connect, and giving people the way to connect has just made it even easier for women to support each other. So for me, the values of that kind of sisterhood and womanhood and lifting each other up is visible everywhere. It's just about noticing it and kind of taking comfort from that. And actually being able to say and giving yourself permission to say, actually, I'm not at my best today and I'm going to tell someone about it. You'll be amazed what happens if you just share that, and how many other women will say, me too, or I've got you, like this is happening, or, you know, look at this will make you laugh instead, whatever it might be. So I think it's that vulnerability and permission to be vulnerable, and finding support in that is really important.
I think so too. And having grown up professionally in beauty and in fashion and being surrounded by women, I agree. I have found so much sisterhood, so much community, right. and I do think that there is a vulnerability that comes with that, and being surrounded by so many women and feeling safe enough to say, you know, I'm having a bad day, and to have other people say, it's okay, you know, I've got your back, or whatever that is that you need in that moment. And I agree, and I love that. It's something that we've been able to capture in so many different ways, whether it be with the community that you've built with Peanut and really centering that around motherhood and the transformation that one's life goes through when she becomes a mother, or even in our world, right, where we're talking about fashion and we're really talking about your outward expression of yourself. And so sort of going in that direction a bit, when did your love of fashion begin?
I think fashion and being able to get dressed up and express myself in that way is something that I've always loved. I think it's been the worst part of the pandemic for me, actually, is not being able to kind of have a reason to get dressed and put myself together. I think in every example that I've had in my career, I've always used fashion and getting dressed as a way to kind of put a coat of armor on and get myself kind of together and feeling like the best version of myself. So I've always really loved that process. And so anything to do with making other women feel good and feel better and feel like the best version of them is something that will always resonate with me, because I always want people to feel like they are ready to take on anything. And I always really strongly believe if you've got yourself together and you feel confident in how you look, the confidence just it exudes, right? It's like everyone feels it from you, and so it's something that I really, really believe in, that if you are feeling good and confident and happy, people around you, it's like by osmosis, they feel it too.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a ton of psychology actually around how, you know, we perceive ourselves and sort of self-image and how much that impacts us neurologically, right? And how we carry ourselves and the posture that we have. And absolutely, I think the energy, therefore, that we put out into the world and how other people experience us. And so I agree with you. And so tell us about the Kindred Collection that you curated for JustFab and how it reflects your personal style.
So firstly, thank you so much for allowing me to pull together this collection. It's every girl's dream to be able to choose and pull together a collection that represents them, and I've just had the absolute best time doing it. So thank you. It's been a real honor. The collection for me is a combination of me thinking about where I would be and imagining me wearing the shoes. Am I going to an investor pitch? Am I in a board meeting? Am I going out for drinks with my girlfriends? Am I with my kids? Am I in London and kind of living like my everyday life? Am I working in the US? Is this my kind of New York pair, or am I in Dallas right now? And so I've been thinking about all of that. And then there's a few nods to the 90s. I was a 90s girl. So there are a few pieces in there that really remind me of the 90s. So a bit of London, a bit of my version of the US, and a bit of 90s thrown in.
How do you think your approach to personal style has changed, if at all, since becoming a mother?
Oh, you know, I don't think it has really changed that much. I might throw in a little, you know, odd flat shoe now and again that I probably didn't used to do pre-motherhood, but I really feel like my style is defined by kind of what I love, my interests, my business, all of these different things kind of flow into it. So I don't think motherhood really changed it. I still love looking good and feeling good. I suppose now I've got an active interest in my kids, and they are absolutely rejecting any of my style in their own. So there you go, they got that from me. But apart from that, no, I don't think it has changed. I still think it's really important to retain that identity if you can, because that's a little bit of me, and I never was ready to give that up.
Yeah, I love that, and nor should you. So on the topic of motherhood and fashion, we all know what mom jeans are. What are mom shoes, do you think?
Do you know what? Mom's shoes are my shoes. That's how I think of it. Mom's shoes, they're my shoes. They're any shoes that you want as a mom, that you love, that finish your outfit, that pull your look together. They're just my shoes. So I have no shame in saying mom shoes. They're my beautiful shoes that I'm wearing today.
That's perfect. I love that. What are you wearing today, actually?
I'm wearing today the Tanisha. Can you see that? This is my 90s.
Very chic.
Isn't it? Very cool 90s. I love it.
Cool
I should be
and
wearing
comfy.
these. I'll be wearing them all summer.
Perfect. I love them. Okay, so lastly, we end all of our interviews with the same question. What is the best advice a woman you admire has ever given to you?
So the best advice I was ever given was, why not you? So if you see that there's an issue, a problem, whatever it is, why can't you be the person to fix it? Don't wait for someone else. You'll be waiting a long time. So why can't it be you? And I think from that moment, that kind of moment of clarity of like, yeah, I can do this. It's totally open for me to make change and for me to push the conversation or say things that I don't agree with and be that voice. And I really think that that has changed my outlook on life generally. If there's something that I see that I don't agree with, it can always be me that can be the person that makes the change. And it's something that I really emphasize to my kids as well. Don't just watch it and be silently horrified, or don't just watch it and kind of silently disagree. Be the person who makes that change.
I love that, and it's powerful and it's true and it's empowering. So thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for this conversation, Michelle. I can't wait for women to be able to shop your JustFab Kindred Collection. We will be back in June with another conversation as part of our Leading with Style series. Thank you.